Good morning, my dear students. I would like to tell you about the profitability ratios with formula for 6th semester students of Dibrugarh University, which was not talked about in the class. The first profitability ratio is the gross profit ratio. Gross profit ratio measures the relationship of gross profit to net sales. It is calculated by dividing the gross profit by sales. Gross profit ratio equal gross profit divided by sales into 100. Next one, net profit ratio. Net profit ratio establishes the relationship between net profit and sales. It indicates the efficiency of management in manufacturing, selling, administrative, and other activities of the concern. It is calculated as net operating ratio divided by net sales into 100. Third one, operating ratio. Operating ratio measures the cost of operation of sales. It is generally represented as percentage. Thus, two elements of this ratio are operating cost and net sales. Operating cost is the sum of operating expenses and the cost of goods. Its formula is operating cost divided by net sales into 100, or cost of goods sold plus operating expenses divided by net sales into 100. Fourth one, operating profit ratio. Operating profit ratio is net sales minus operating costs. In other words, operating profit is net sales minus cost of goods sold minus administrative and office expenses minus selling and distribution expenses. It is calculated by operating costs by net sales. That is, operating costs divided by net sales into 100. Fifth one, expenses ratios. It is the relationship of various expenses to net sales. A particular expense ratio equal particular expenses divided by net sales into 100. An individual or specific expense ratio is calculated as cost of goods sold equal cost of goods sold divided by net sales into 100. Administrative and office expenses ratio equal administrative and office expenses ratio divided by sales into 100. Selling and distribution expenses ratio equal selling and distribution expense ratio divided by sales into 100. Non-operating expense ratio equal non-operating expenses divided by sales into 100. Now, the other profitability ratios are return on shareholders' investment. The return on shareholders' investment or return on shareholders' fund establishes the relationship between net profit and shareholders' fund. It is calculated as net profit after interest and tax divided by shareholders' fund. Return on equity capital ratio. It is the relation between the profit of a concern which is available to the equity shareholders after paying dividend to the preference shareholders at a fixed rate, and its paid up equity capital. It is calculated using the following formula: net profit after tax minus preference dividend divided by equity share capital after that is paid off equity share capital. Earnings per share ratio. It is earning per share ratio is measured by dividing earning available to equity shareholders by the total number of shares. Earning available to equity shareholders are the net profit after taxes and preference dividend. It is calculated using the following formula: earning per share equal net profit after tax minus preference dividend divided by number of equity shares. Capital turnover ratio. It is the relationship between cost of goods sold and the capital employed. If the information in respect of cost of goods sold is not available, then it can be replaced with sales. Hence, it will be reflecting the relationship between sales and the capital employed. Capital turnover ratio is measured as cost of goods sold or sales divided by capital employed. Dividend yield ratio. Dividend yield ratio is measured to evaluate the relationship between dividend per share and the market value of the share. Thus, it is calculated as dividend per share divided by market value per share. Dividend per share is calculated as dividend paid to equity shareholder divided by number of shares. Dividend payout ratio or payout ratio. The dividend payout ratio or payout ratio is that part of the earning per share ratio which is distributed to the shareholders in the form of dividend. It is calculated as dividend per share divided by earning per share. Alternatively, it can also be calculated as total dividend to equity shareholders, that is cash dividend, divided by total net profit available to equity shareholders. Price earnings ratio or earning yield ratio. It measures the relationship between market price per share and earnings per share. It is calculated as market price per share divided by earning per share. With this formula and ratios, I conclude my speech. Thank you very much.